Friday. The 32 members of his cabinet will have to decide on some tough questions before presidential elections in 2015. Notably, Article 37, approved by the president, which reduces the president's term from 7 to 5 years. Under the article, President Compaore would not be allowed to stand for re-election. The promotional campaign for FESPACO has got underway in Libreville. Now in its 23rd year, the Pan-African Film Festival will be held from February 23rd to March 2nd in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. More than 100 films will be screened, including mainstream productions, television series, and independent films by African film students. Gabon is this year's guest of honor with 5 films in competition.
The situation in the largest refugee camp in the east of the DR Congo is worsening by the day. The Bulengo refugee camp, which is situated outside the strategic city of Goma, is hosting thousands of desperately hungry refugees. And as we hear in this report, humanitarian groups say they are overwhelmed by the sheer number of people in need of help.
Thousands of DR Congolese are fleeing their homes in the east of the country. 60-year-old Febe walked for 2 weeks with her daughters and grandson to get here. The family was at first taken in by another family in Goma.
We were taken in along with our neighbors, but we had nothing to eat, and we had to buy water. So that's why I came here, to the Bulenga camp, with my family.
Febe left her home with very few possessions to lighten her load for the journey. She had nothing for shelter or to cook with.
It has rained today, it will rain during the night. People need to be sheltered, especially children who are prone to easily get infections.
At the end of December, a massive campaign to distribute humanitarian aid got underway, thanks to a break in the fighting.
Oxfam is part of a big multi-agency NFI distribution today, organized principally by UNICEF, and we're distributing to each household a kit of basic items such as blankets, cooking utensils, things of that nature. Basic items that they need in order to have a household that can be self-sufficient.
The tarpaulin will help me cover my tent. It will protect me from the sun, and I won't have to listen to the noises outside. The pans will also help me because I won't have to look for somewhere to cook, and that's very important.
Febe is worried about armed attacks against the displaced in the camp. Close to 1 million people live in camps like this in North Kivu. Half of them arrived since last April, when the M23 rebels started fighting to control eastern DR Congo.
The war in Syria has had an impact on its neighbors in terms of refugees and the occasional stray around flying over a border, but as the regime grows more desperate, it's bringing in more firepower, including Scud-type missiles that are landing dangerously close to NATO member Turkey. Well, now Turkey is getting some defensive firepower. CNN's Nick Patinuals is covering the mobilization from Istanbul.
On Thursday night, Turkish media reporting that nearly 30 US military personnel flew into the southern city of Gaziantep, staying in a hotel there before they conducted site surveillance as to where these 2 Patriot missile batteries would go. US officials from the embassy confirming on Friday that yes, the process has begun of US personnel and equipment flying into the southern military base of Incirlik. This, of course, is part of the US contribution to NATO's response to Turkey asking for extra defensive help along that very volatile border with Syria. Holland and Germany also expected to both contribute to Patriot missile batteries and hundreds of troops to support that particular deployment. What this does is put the world's largest military machine, NATO, right on the doorstep of this very bitter and brutal 21-month-long now civil war. The reason for this deployment was, of course, Syrian regime shells landing inside Turkey, prompting Turkey's request to NATO. That tension has died down, but what has changed is the escalation in the conflict. Rebels are certainly on the ascendant in the north, pressing down hard on Friday on a helicopter base called Taftanaz, which they're trying to take to stop the regime's ability to project air power across the north. But as the Assad regime gets more desperate, Many concerned they'll reach into their arsenal, perhaps to the more deadly weapons inside of it, fears of chemical weapons, which they deny having, and US accusations that Scud-type missiles have already been used. NATO says its equipment and people are there purely to defend Turkey, but at the end of the day, they have, as some say, skin in the game. They're right on the doorstep of this civil war. Perhaps were a shell to go astray, that may cause some ramifications for NATO's Patriot deployment there. All eyes watching this, and certainly NATO making the key point, this is purely defensive, but now a significant escalation, certainly psychologically, on what's happening in that border area. Nick Payton-Walsh, CNN, Istanbul.
That CNN report there in Turkey takes us to another break. We'll be back momentarily. Welcome back. I'm now joined in the studio by my colleague Fatou Jassi to update us on sports. Fatou Jassi, what's up? What do you have for us?
Thanks, Famara. The governor of the Central River region has hailed the efforts of the government of the Gambia in transforming the lives of Gambian youths. Sierra Governor Gagny Toure was speaking as the host region under his leadership held a dinner for the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs and delegation who traveled to Bansang to witness the opening ceremony of the NACOF. Babakar Senghor reports.
Presiding over the opening ceremony of this year's National Youth Conference and Festival, the Vice President Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Sidi was hosted to a dinner by host Governor Gagny Toure of the Central River region. The dinner was hosted at the governor's residence in Janjambure and was organized by the people of the Central River region for the Vice President and her cabinet colleagues who made the long journey to the settlement of Bansang to witness the official opening of the country's biggest youth gathering, which comes every 2 years. The opening ceremony of the biennial youth convergence was attended by a strong cabinet representative led by the Vice President and also included foreign diplomats, National Assembly members, governors, chiefs, as well as the Deputy Mayor of Grand Yoff in Senegal. Governor Gagny Toure, whose region is hosting the youth convergence on behalf of the people of the Central River region, extended appreciation to the delegation for gracing the 10th edition of the NACOF.
Once again, I want to thank all of you for the support. Because, as I said, this is the first time I've been attending NACOF and youth weeks before. But to have cabinet members in this number to attend, that has never happened. So that shows the support. That shows the support the government has given to us.
The Minister of Youth and Sports also commended the Vice President and delegation for their presence, something he says shows the government's commitment to the welfare and development of the country's youth.
And did not give up what's taken for and supported the successful hosting of this event. So, Honorable Governor, we want through you to extend our sincere appreciation and thanks to the people of Janjambure, and secondly to the people of CRR for hosting us here today and for the rest of the week. Before we conclude. Secondly, I want to sincerely thank government again and ministers, Our Excellency the Vice President for leading the delegation. When operation started, the National Organizing Committee went around with the flag for all the ministers. Each of the ministers received them, gave them to the National Organizing Committee a piece of advice and support. For all of them to come here again is the highest manifestation of their commitment to the cause of young people of this country. I have no doubt they will continue to support His Excellency's cause to help us young people in complementing and supporting government in this development drive.
The dinner also witnessed the presentation of a brand new trophy to the NACAF organizing committee.